Southeastern U.S./Florida Peninsula. Across Florida today, we find a moist, warm air mass ahead of an approaching strong cold front. In east central Florida, precipitable water values reach around 1.6 to 1.7 inches. Combined with low level lapse rates, steepening and mid level cooling, 500 MB temps of minus 10 degrees Celsius or colder to support scattered thunderstorms. Instability is modest, but DCAPE values exceeding 700 joules per kilogram plus shear suggest a marginal severe risk, 1 of 5, for gusty winds, 40 to 60 miles per hour, and perhaps hail up to 1 inch. Meanwhile, behind the front, a high-pressure ridge builds in the southeastern U.S., ushering in drier, cooler air and a tightening surface gradient. Winds turn northerly, seas build, and small craft advisories are in play for the coastal Atlantic waters. For pilots, expect scattered convective activity today with gust potential ahead of the front, then increased northerlies and turbulence in the wake as the front moves through. Gulf Coast slash deep south, from Alabama into Mississippi and across the Gulf states, a strong long wave trough is digging into the eastern U.S., driving a potent cold front through the region. Ahead of the front, the air mass remains warm and humid. Behind it, cold advection takes hold. Surface high pressure builds. Winds increase sharply and temperatures drop markedly. In the wake, fire weather concerns emerge due to strong winds and very low humidity, especially amid drought conditions. Aviation operations should prepare for front passage wind shifts, increased turbulence, and lower ceiling visibility in the frontal zone. After passage, gusty northwest winds and very cold air advection dominate. Mid-Atlantic and Carolinas, a broad upper trough anchored by a closed low over Canada, is extending southeastward into the mid-Atlantic, with a trailing cold front pushing through the Carolinas this afternoon into overnight. Ahead of that front, southerly flow taps into deep moisture, PW values 150 to 175% of normal, and moderate instability, MLCAPE, up to 750 to 1,000 joules per kilogram in the coastal plain. With a coherent shear profile but modest buoyancy, isolated to widely scattered convective storms may produce gusty winds and small hail, particularly inland. As the front passes, a sharp cold air advection regime sets in, with gusty northwesterly winds, mountain snow showers along the NC/TN border, and lows plunging into the 20s degrees Fahrenheit with wind chills into the teens. Aviation impacts include scattered thunderstorms this afternoon, followed by gusty post-frontal winds and possible snow in mountain TAFs overnight. Northeast and Midwest in the northeast, an approaching low from the Ohio Valley, and a sharpening trough aloft are delivering an active day. A warm front lifts north today, followed by a stronger cold front tonight into Monday. Overrunning light rain and embedded showers are expected, with limited instability but adequate shear to justify isolated stronger cells. After frontal passage, cold advection drives winds to the mid-20s to 40 miles per hour range with rapid clearing but gusty surface flow. Ceilings may lower this afternoon into MVFR/IFR ahead of the front, with improving conditions late tonight. For aviation, expect increasing winds and potential lowering visibilities tonight, with strong northwesterly gusts tomorrow. Western U.S. and Pacific coast. Out west, the pattern is quieter. A persistent ridge along the California coast remains in place through today, maintaining near or slightly above normal temperatures with offshore tendencies and elevated terrain. Winds are modest, ceilings generally VFR, and minimal significant weather is expected through the 24-hour period. For flights across the west, operational concerns are minimal aside from the usual terrain and valley mixing effects. Macro scale outlook summary. The dominant driver today is the deepening upper level trough that spans from the plains into the Midwest and then ejects into the eastern U.S. This trough is forcing strong ridging downstream over the southeast, thereby pushing cold frontal boundaries and enabling significant cold air advection into the Gulf Coast and southeast states. Warm, moist advection ahead of these fronts supports convective initiation, while steep lapse rates and shear combine to threaten stronger storms. The juxtaposition of warm Gulf and Atlantic air masses ahead of the front and the incoming polar air mass behind reinforces wind and temperature contrasts, key for aviation routing and turbulence. The pattern fits the climatological transition season for November. Frontal boundaries shifting south, CP air rapidly gaining ground, and convective potential still lingering ahead of the cold push. Operational considerations. Ahead of today's fronts across the southeast and mid-Atlantic, expect potential for gusty thunderstorm outflow winds, isolated hail, lightning. Prefrontal winds may increase and mixing will intensify in the afternoon. Post-front. Anticipate strong pressure gradients, gusty northerlies, possible icing or snow in higher terrain. Carolinas, Appalachians, rapid drops in temperature and wind chill, and deteriorating marine flight conditions. In Florida and the Gulf, prefrontal warm, humid air supports instability. Postfrontal conditions will shift rapidly to cold, dry, and gusty. Boat and instrument operators should plan accordingly. Across the Northeast, expect cloud ceilings lowering, scattered showers, and strong post-frontal northwest winds. Mountain aviation should watch for snow showers overnight. West of the Rockies, tranquil conditions prevail, favorable for standard VFR operations, though terrain and valley flows remain typical complicators. That's today's briefing. We see an active day of frontal dynamics and air mass changes with a key transition from warm, moist, prefrontal zones to strong cold air advection behind the fronts. Aircraft operations, routing, and turbulence forecasts should be keyed to these transitions, and marine shoreline operations should monitor the gradient responses behind each front.